Game. 4th and goal. And they're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
In front of the letters, nods yes, the wind, the 1-2 pitch. Swinging a ground ball left side, Castro's got it, spins, throws, he got him! A perfect game for Roy Halladay! 27 up and 20.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Trending for Four Quarters, only on DSM Media. I am your host, Bill Stiefel. We're going to continue our deep dive into our division rival NFC East teams. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you click follow, share it out on Twitter, retweet. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe, that thumbs up button, all the great stuff that we all know and have to do. But I got two big Cowboys fans and people and social media guys that you all know from social media and Twitter. Two special guests this week that are going to really be our go-to to see what the Cowboys really are, because we can't really know how well the Eagles are going to do until we know how the Cowboys are. So we've got Matt Reiser. He's right here. You know him as Matty Daddy FF on Twitter. He's he runs the Fantasy Football Affair account at Fantasy Affair FF. Wrestling Matt 1 on Twitter. It's the Wrestling Matt podcast. He also does video content for NFT Draft. Matty Daddy, welcome to the show.
Oh, Phil, the body, the bearded knowledge. I am glad to be here. I'm ready to fly like an eagle. I'm ready to pump up that star, baby. Let's get it.
Got to show that Cowboys tattoo when you flex there.
Dude,
this is our second guest. This is a guy, before we went live here, I never even saw his face. This is the legendary man on Twitter. I asked for his name. He didn't even want me to give his name. He just said, introduce him as at the Spoon of Zeke on Twitter. This guy is Mr. Follow Train. He's the guy that's connecting everybody on Twitter. I mean, you just follow this guy. You do what he says on Twitter. You're going to gain hundreds, if not thousands of followers over the course of months if you grind like he does. So Zeke Spoon, at Spoon of Zeke, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? I just tried to – it was during the pandemic that I kind of started my follow trains, but I really wanted to connect with NFL fans because football is one of my favorite sports. I played it when I was younger. I just love football. I'll sit there and watch football all day. So I just wanted to find like-minded people, and I kind of figured out a system. And, dude, I'm not kidding you. It's literally thousands of people that are being followed and getting follow backs and be connecting. And I'm just leading the train, and I try to have a respectful community. Philadelphia, I dislike them more than any other team in the NFL, but I have met more fans from Philadelphia that I love with all my heart. I say all the time, you can hate the team, but love the player. And that's all I try to say to people and try to be an example for. So I just, lead by example on Twitter, and it's kind of worked like gangbusters.
That's awesome. We got loads of comments coming in here. Thank you, everybody, for checking out. Drop your comments. We're going to dive deep. We're not going to waste time. We're going to start with the Cowboys. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk Cowboys. Then after we're done talking Cowboys, I'm going to ask you some Eagles questions because I want to know what Cowboys fans are thinking of the Eagles. Obviously, the NFC East last year was a train wreck. Worst division in football. And at points of this offseason, people are saying the same thing about this upcoming season. But as camp's going on, some of these teams are starting to look a little bit better, including the Eagles. So we'll get into them. But it starts the Cowboys with one thing, in my opinion, the success of the Cowboys. It's Dak Prescott and his health. So, Matt, you're shaking your head yes. I'll ask you first. as somebody you're paying close attention to that Cowboys camp and this preseason as it's getting started. Where are we with Dak Prescott, and where are you with your confidence that he's going to be healthy?
Me as a fan, as a Cowboys passionate aficionado, I want them to rest. Let's keep him off the field. I believe in his talent. I know what he can do. But I know other than the Eagles, the Cowboys were the most banged up team in the NFL last year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're hurt, I don't need you. I'd rather you learn on the fly in season than waste those reps right now. Hey, NFL outdated. Don't even think of. All right. Anyways, but yeah, dude, week 1, I want Dak in. I want him ready for the Bucks. Preseason reps right now, just rest him. If the shoulder's bothering you, don't worry about throwing. Just worry about that ankle.
But so you say that, but how can you have confidence in that ankle if you don't see? I mean, I'm not watching the practice highlights and stuff like that.
Right.
And I'm a big fantasy football fan like you are. And I don't think you can really, have confidence in Dak Prescott, the player.
Absolutely.
Until you see him do something with that ankle.
So if I think my biggest takeaway from Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys is if we had issues, trust issues, or confidence issues with Dak, we'd have a veteran quarterback in there right now. We'd have signed a guy right now to take those reps, not some rookie quarterback or not rookie, sorry, Gilbert or whatever, 2-3 years in the league. But yeah, I trust the Cowboys organization as far as health goes. So I'm one of those. I'm willing to sit this out and just let him. If we need another Andy Dalton, they would have made that move by now.
So that was good. That was going to be my follow up to it. So Zeke, are you feeling the same way as Matt is on this, or do you have any concerns or trepidations about Dak going into it? Because let me tell you something. As a little side note to you guys, I had not ankle but leg, a similar severe injury. Broke my leg in multiple spots, getting clipped playing quarterback in college, and I'm 20. That's 20 years ago plus, and I'm still not the same person. So that's why my trepidation is there on Dak Prescott.
Look, Alex Smith came back and Aaron Donald jumped on his back and he didn't break again. So Dak had a very good recovery. There was no hiccups. There was no crazy things that happened with like Alex Smith. I'm very happy for Alex Smith that he came back, got his year in, be an Instagram model, do whatever you do. That's fine. Like, I'm glad you had your time here. But Dak is a very different story because he's so much more younger. He has so much more of his career ahead of him. And I think that, I have Dak too. He was I took Lamar, Dak, and then I took Darren Waller, my dynasty superflex. Okay. So I'm all in on Dak. I think that he's a pocket quarterback. Like, he's a pocket quarterback that's mobile. He doesn't try and run I have nothing against Lamar Jackson, but he has a tendency to run before he makes the pass sometimes. And people say he's a running back. He's a quarterback. I'm saying he's a quarterback. But Dak is not that at all. He is a quarterback first. He's looking to throw the ball downfield. And he's got some serious weapons on the outside. You know what? I'm tired of disrespect on Twitter. Amari Cooper's a good wide receiver. He's better than you'll ever be. Okay. And I'm sick and tired of people talking crap on Amari. And also Michael Gallup. He's one of the best number 2s in the league. Try and tell me another number 2 in the league that you're excited to see play, or that could do very well on your team as a number 2. Okay.
I will say one more thing about Dak. They pass the ball 69% of the time. So as you say, pocket quarterback, they didn't run the ball 69% of the time. They still pass the ball. This is McCarthy's, Kellen Moore's offense, the way they want to run. And they also, this defense is in it. We'll talk defense later, I'm sure. But this is an offense that's going to put up, I think they led. We talk all this talk about Arizona's offense, but the Cowboys had the most plays from the offensive side of the ball. So volume is key. Situation's key. I think as long as we keep Dak, he was QB2 in fantasy in 2019.
Absolutely.
To me, you keep this guy healthy, and if he's playing week 1, I'm all aboard the not just a spoon of Zeke follow train, but the Dak Prescott. That's a Mack truck, but you get it. We're running you over.
But so Zeke, you can answer this first. George checking in from across the pond, one of our good followers here from England. He's a huge Eagles fan, and he brings up good points all the time, no matter what team we're talking about. what's Dak, you think's mental confidence level coming back from an injury like this? Because, obviously, dude, just getting off of crutches when I shattered my leg was scary enough. He's going out there, and I know you brought up Zeke, Alex Smith. I became a massive Alex Smith fan because of his comeback, because I literally had the exact same injury. So, I get that whole thing, but still the mental aspect, Alex Smith, there was no requirement to be a starting quarterback or, go out there and lead his team. Like, there were no expectations. Dak's now starting a $150 million contract. There's a lot of expectations on him. What's his mental confidence in himself going to be like?
See, he's not a running back though. And that's
right.
The thing is like, he's a quarterback. He drops back and passes the ball. Like if he tore his arm, like that's a different story. If he tore his pec, that's a different story because that's actually what is being used in his craft. But
right.
Having a leg that broke, I had a quarterback in middle school that broke his leg and he had to get like rods in his leg and stuff. But he came back, and because he was a drop back passer, it really wasn't an issue for him because, I saw how he had to come back mentally and come back and play the game. And you can apply that to any quarterback that has the same style. Dak has that same style. If it was Lamar Jackson coming back from this, yeah, I'd be really scared. RG3, he had a passing ability, but he could run, I literally saw him do like a a rollout, and I saw his ankle just snap. Like right. That was crazy. And Dak, he's a very different. He's a big body, but he is a drop back passer. So for me, the mental game is not worrisome. He's probably going to think twice about running again. He's probably going to throw a little bit more passes to the sideline, out of bounds. But that's the only overcompensation and mental game. It's just he's going to think twice before he runs.
Okay. So on that, though, you both brought up the weapons, and we got lots of comments. I can't even keep up with all the comments. You guys are great. I want you on every week because you're bringing in so many more comments than I'm used to here. Love all the comments. Keep them coming, guys. So we got people commenting on Cooper being injured, which I didn't even see that. Zeke and, whether Zeke will go back to his, previous form, which we haven't seen in the last year or so. And you guys bring up, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. First off, I think Michael Gallup is probably the most underrated number 2-3 wide receiver in football.
Yes. Yes.
As a fan, look, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm an Eagles fan. Obviously, I got my McNabb jersey on tonight for you guys. Okay. But Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, I don't think there's any team that could throw out a three-headed monster at wide receiver like them. And then if Ezekiel Elliott can be the monster he's supposed to be, I don't think any team offensively can compete with that four-headed monster.
The way that the offense, the year is going to go is that we're going to score a hell of a lot of points, but the defense is going to be. It's really just stopped one more time than the other team in the NFL these days. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be the Cowboys running up the score. I think the Cowboys can beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I think that Tampa and Tom Brady, they're more of like a December, November team that just really turns it on in the late weeks. In the first couple of weeks, they're kind of going to, try and get their bearings basically on the field. And I think that Dak is going to come out wanting to throw the ball. I think the over-under is like 52.5, and I think it's going to go to the over because I think it's going to be like a 38-35 kind of game. But it's going to be Dak coming out, gnawing at the bit. He got out in like week 4 of last year, so he's been out of football for a while, and he just wants to sling the ball and show everybody why he's worth the money. And I think that that's absolutely possible because he's a drop-back passer. Like, we're not going to be running options with him. He is a drop back kind of guy, and he's going to sling the ball. So I think that they're going to go up on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's going to be a three-point game. So that's kind of how I feel about the game.
Oh, well, okay. Look, I'm a Dak Prescott fan until the day he got drafted by the Cowboys. He was that draft. I wanted the Eagles to draft Dak Prescott. I was a huge fan of his college career. I kind of saw him as a hybrid, like a little bit more athletic than a Donovan McNabb. Cross between McNabb, Cam Newton, Dante Culpepper, a bunch of different quarterbacks with a little bit of all their skill sets. So I'm a Dak fan. But Matt, with these weapons, Zeke, Gallup, Cooper, Lamb, again, I'll ask you the same question I asked Zeke. Can anybody put offensive weapons on the field like Dallas can?
I think our biggest advantage is how good we are at the running back position, how athletic our tight ends are. People sleep on Jarwin. Not going to put up fantasy points, but in best ball, things like that, he's going to take off. So I think, honestly, our offensive line will be healthier. I think people sleep on Pollard. Pollard, when he played, he dominated. It's just one of those things. We have our cupboard is so full of food, we can't even eat it before it goes bad. Hey, Vivisha, no. Oh, wait, she said no, wait. Oh, come on. Yeah, but, dude, this is as much as we're talking about this offense and how bad this defense is, it was 31st last year. It was 27th on the defensive line. And this was a coach in Nolan who hadn't coached defense in like 4 years, hadn't been in the NFL. You go to Dan Quinn, Medicine Woman, loading up our defense with Keanu O'Neal, Micah Parsons, all these different pieces. We're not going to be as bad. And a 4-3 is going to keep the offense in front of you. It's going to eliminate the deep plays. Those are things you got to consider when you're looking at the Cowboys. And we have the easiest schedule in the NFL. I'm just rambling, going everywhere.
No, it's all good. I'm taking notes. I got follow-ups to everything you guys are saying. Don't worry.
So there's so much more. I'm not saying we're a lock for first, second. NFC East is tough. We saw that last year. But yeah, dude, offense should be no problem.
All right. So before we get to defense, one final question on the offense. And I know you said already, Zeke, Cooper, everybody, you talked about how Cooper's, I don't want to say forgotten about, but kind of forgotten about. He's forgotten about. All right. I still, as an Eagles fan, I still see him as the number one wide receiver on the Cowboys. And George chiming in that he'd take the Bucs wide receivers all day. And that's a good point. The Bucs have some really great wide receivers.
This is a salty Philadelphia fan. That's
I feel like he's in the territory.
He chose the Eagles all the way over in England. Okay, so it's 2 in the morning and he stays up for this show. So let's be nice to George. George is my man. I love George.
What's up, George?
Most loyal.
What's up, George?
Woo! Most loyal dude. But the question is, actually, my boy Nick's bringing up another good question. The offensive line. I was going to ask, how long will it be till CeeDee Lamb is considered the number one guy? Guy that I wanted on the Eagles as well. But Nick brings up the offensive line. The offensive line has had issues and injuries as well. Honestly, I don't even know what you guys did to improve your offensive line. So, Zeke, you could start with the Lamb. Will Lamb ever take over as the number one threat on the Cowboys, but then transition to that offensive line, and then we'll get back into the defense here.
Look, like, if Dak throws for 6,000 yards, which is absolutely possible this year, then I'm not a delusional Cowboys fan. I'm pretty realistic. We are going to win the East, but it's going to be whatever record that is. It's going to be like 7-10 or whatever it is. Like it's pretty bad in the NFC East. But CeeDee Lamb, it's hard to be a number, like say like, oh, Amari's a number one or CeeDee's a number one, or Michael Gallup's definitely going to be the number 2 or 3 kind of guy. But with those two, they're both going to get over 1,000 yards. So you're literally going to have to look at statistics and be like, hey, which one's the number one guy? Which one's the number 2? Who has the more opportunities? Who has less opportunities? That's basically how it's going to be. I mean, we're basically going to be able to say like it's going to be like the eye test, A or B. Like they're both poisonous. They're both going to be ones that you're going to want to have on your team as your number one receiver. So I think that CeeDee Lamb, he's going to be considered the number one very soon because he is a lot louder of a personality than Amari Cooper. I followed Amari Cooper on Twitter like years ago on my personal. That guy hasn't tweeted since like 2015. Okay. He does not speak. Okay. Even in the media, he just plays his game. Michael Gallup's kind of quiet too, but CeeDee Lamb is a personality. So he's going to be number one in personality. He's going to be the one that gets the attention. He's going to be the one that, basically brings the rah-rah to the team. And Amari's just going to be the solid guy that's the possession guy that you're going to be able to depend on in any kind of pinch. And Michael Gallup's just flying out there catching balls all day. Yeah. In terms of the D-line, O-line.
Okay, gotcha.
So O-line, I'm saying Tyron Smith is like the X factor. Him and Tony Pollard are honestly the X factors. Tony Pollard showed very well last year. And Zeke's like, I don't know what happened. I thought COVID was like Space Jam to him because it took away his ability to catch the ball and also hold on to the ball. It was worrisome. I was very worrisome. But I think that he's taken this year and lost like 10 pounds. He does look quicker. I wish he was more on the Derrick Henry plan, but to each its own. But I think Tony Pollard is more suited for Kellen Moore's offense, which is more of an air raid offense now. He's a quarterback. He's a former quarterback. He wants to sling the ball with Dak, and Dak absolutely loves that. But Dak also knows you need to run the ball, and Zeke's that kind of guy that can do it. So I'm going to say Tony Pollard is the X factor on third down. Tyron Smith is the factor because he's the blind side. He needs to protect Dak, make sure Dak stays healthy, stays clean all year. So those two are really two people that I'm looking for this year to really step up because they do. We're going to be able to, win the East.
Maddie?
Pow, pow. Cowboys, health.
It's especially on offense, it's the number one thing.
Our offensive line isn't getting any younger. We didn't address it. So that means the Cowboys staff thinks it's ready to roll. If it's healthy, we're ready to roll. If it's not, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a pretty easy way to sum it up. You just said it. Well, George chiming in, the NFC East winning it does not make you a good team. That is so true. And
talk to the Washington fans.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll talk to the Giants. We had Giants people on last year. We had last week, Mark Solano, owner of Statement Games, great fantasy football site, and Justin Connery, a great blogger, covering the Giants for his blog. And they were still bitter over the Eagles losing to the Washington, in week 17, to give the Washington the division. I'm like, look, you're winning a division at 7 wins. You're not expecting much to go on.
You're just happy to be there.
So, Matt, I'll counter. You said they didn't do anything to address the offensive line, and they're getting older. But they seem to address one position, linebacker, like 75 times in the draft. And no lie, my number one player in the draft that I wanted the Eagles to take was Micah Parsons. My favorite player. I'm a defensive guy. I come from the Buddy Ryan, hard-nosed defenses. You build a defensive tackles and linebackers. So backtrack a little bit to my previous network. We had LeVar Arrington on our network as an interview.
That's huge.
The first question we asked him was, what are your thoughts on – because Micah Parsons, my favorite player in the draft, and both being Penn State guys, were like, what are your thoughts on Micah Parsons? He's like, he's a more athletic, faster, stronger, potentially better than Ray Lewis linebacker.
Ooh.
And that was his exact words.
I'm digging it.
And you guys got him instead of us. So Matt, looking at the defense now, did they do enough to address the defense issues? Because even when Dak was healthy, you were 1-3, and you were losing games nonstop because you couldn't stop anybody. Did you do enough with Micah Parsons, Dan Quinn coming in? Is that enough to turn the defense around?
I think it's better. I think it's a step in the right direction. I am worried. I think our first 6 picks in the draft were defense. So obviously we didn't have the players, the skill set to run a 4-3 defense. But what I've heard in camp, what I've heard other than losing Sean Lee, Vander Esch doesn't fit a 4-3 defense. They have brought that up multiple times. So if you have a player as good as him, what are you going to do here? And you're playing Keanu Neal at linebacker instead of safety in this offense. So we're basically just sitting Vander Esch on the bench. Like to me, that's almost counterbalances what we're trying to do. But 31st ranked defense, a coach that I believe it was the Jaguars, he turned around their defense quite a bit. So I have faith that we're going to be better than last year. I just don't know. When you have a raw talent like Kelvin Joseph, you have Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons is a raw talent still. He's got the athleticism and the skill set. He's just not.
This isn't the Washington defense.
He just might have that Ray Lewis potential.
So that's what I feel like we're walking in. We're walking into a team that's loaded on offense, has potential on defense, just don't know if this year is enough to get it done. And then you have these teams like Washington that runs one of the most plays on offense, passes the ball. So can our corners hold up on that? Things like that. But, yeah, I automatically think this is a better defense. I'm not saying it's top 15, but if it's 31st, I'm going to be pissed as a Cowboys fan.
Okay. Zeke, do you agree with those sentiments on the defense, or do you still? I mean, obviously, you can from going from like the second worst defense, you can only go up. I mean, I guess you could go down,
right?
But most likely, you can only go up from there. What are your thoughts on the work the defense has done?
Micah Parsons was a very nice consolation gift for the Cowboys, considering that J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain were taken basically 2 picks in front of them.
Right. Yeah, so
Micah Parsons.
That's where this Ken Parsons play cornerback, comment comes from. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, look, I saw Jalen Smith chase his way to 150 tackles. If he can do that, being 2 steps behind everyone, I think Micah Parsons can have at least 250 tackles. Like, he looks very fast. He looks, in the Hall of Fame game, it was only a fumble recovery, but it's also instincts, and it shows that at the NFL level, and that's very hard to come by. I think Micah Parsons is going to be a great building stone for next year for us to take a corner or something. Really, we just got screwed out of getting a corner, and really there wasn't anyone on the free agency list that really rang any bells or was cheap enough where their talent was good enough to add. We do have a lot of young corners, and Dan Quinn brought over Keanu Neal. Now, he looks really solid. I am pumped to see him in a Dallas uniform in the regular season. But my big question with him is health. I mean, in the NFL game, we always got to think about health. We all play fantasy. It's health every week. Like, who is absolutely healthy, who's not on the injury report. We're literally waiting up until, like, kickoff to see if this guy actually suits up sometimes. So it's really all dependent on health. I think Keanu Neal is going to be that booming safety that is going to be able to bring the boom and kind of pump up that defense. I think that there wasn't anyone that really brought that last year. Like I said, Jalen Smith got 150 tackles, which I think led the team, but that was 150 tackles where he was 2 steps slower than everyone else. And that's the only knock I have on Jalen Smith. Like, his instincts are there. He's just a step slower than everyone else.
Well, it's actually weird because I was doing something on linebackers because of the Eagles, months and months ago. And if you look at all the guys that were in the top 10 of tackles in the NFL, almost all of them were on losing teams. Because it means that, your defensive tackles aren't doing the job. Your defense isn't doing the job. Great guys that score. I almost feel like leading the league in tackles is a overrated stat to an extent.
It really depends. Like, think about like Ray Lewis, and then also like Patrick Willis. And
I mean, just last year it was like that.
We're not talking Jeremiah Trotter here.
Argument because it was that way last year. I don't know about all time, but last year it worked perfectly for my argument.
Absolutely. I mean, think about the Arena Football League. The number 1 tackle guys were safeties, and it's because the league is so wide open now. We're not having three downs and out on 3 rushing plays up the middle anymore. It's 3, outside posts that are going, 9 routes also, that there's opportunities for safeties and stuff. So I think that if there's a lot more balls coming across the middle, Jalen Smith is going to get some tackles. Micah Parsons is going to get some tackles. But with Micah Parsons there, he's a way different animal than LVE. LVE has greatly disappointed me. I was actually really excited for him last year, but after last year, I'm kind of like out. Like, I'm like, all right, Micah Parsons in, let's get him in there. LVE can go work on his game elsewhere. There's opportunity to at least make playoffs. This is we should at least try and get the turnovers. That's what I saw in preseason. The turnovers were really exciting. I think that that's going to change the pace of a lot of our games and actually give us a chance to give our distance. So that's going to be a big thing. If we get more turnovers, defense is going to be awesome.
Okay. So, I mean, we talk about Dan Quinn, new, coach on the team and all, but what about Mike McCarthy? Now, from a distance, it seems like I saw on Twitter and on, ESPN, all the different places, that when he was hired before last year, throughout last year, and even this off season, there isn't a lot of consistent love of him as the head coach. I've seen it. Maybe it's just where I'm following and all. Matt, you're shaking your head no. So you're sold still, even after last year, on Mike McCarthy?
No, I'm the polar opposite. I would have liked to have somebody else.
Okay.
I just don't think beggars can't be choosers to a point.
Okay.
But this is a guy who didn't show me enough last year with the weapons he had. Obviously, Dak was hurt, but I don't like the hire. I never did. It was one of those, I would have rather done a rebuild with these young pieces, kind of done something different, but to bring in Mike Nolan, bring in the system that you saw with Green Bay, it was predictable, things like that. To me, I'm not a fan of McCarthy, and that's just – I mean, I don't know if it's one of those things you're never happy as a Cowboys fan, but to me, I'm all out on McCarthy still, even though I'm going to probably be stuck with them another 3-4 years.
Yeah, I mean, George chimed in that McCarthy wasted Rodgers' career to an extent. I can actually agree with that quite a bit. I mean, to think that a guy of Aaron Rodgers' talent has what, one Super Bowl? I mean, that kind of boggles my mind. That's where he's at. I mean, he's 38 years old. He's got one Super Bowl. It breaks my heart to say it. Zeke, I mean, are you on the same boat with McCarthy? Are you not a fan, or do you like him?
I think he was the guy that Jerry Jones wanted to have the product that he wanted on the field. He saw what he did with Green Bay. In a way, almost to Jerry Jones, I think that Super Bowls are kind of irrelevant to him because he had won so many, so quickly almost. I'm going to say that Mike McCarthy is a good guy to get us to the playoffs and get some confidence, but he's not the guy to win us a Super Bowl. I don't think we'll win a Super Bowl with him as a coach, and I think it's going to take someone else to make that next step. So really the goal this year is really only just win the East and see how we do. Everyone stays healthy and have a productive season.
I mean, and Matt, you said a key word. Me and George love to battle over these words here. You said you would rather them rebuild. George likes the term rebuild with the Eagles. I like the term retool because in the NFL, you don't have to go through a full rebuild like in the NBA or Major League Baseball. You can retool and in a year and a half, really flip things around. So that's a word we always,
absolutely
debate, rebuild versus retool.
I mean, when we had Lincoln Riley available or something like that could.
I mean, he was available for the Eagles as well this year.
Right. I'm not saying I necessarily want like a Chip Kelly. Maybe I thought it's something you think you want, and then it gets here and it's false advertisement. But I think we all know what we have with McCarthy. And we thought with Lincoln Riley, the play system, the calls would be different. You could have maybe kept I'm slipping his name, the defensive the D-backs coach that we got from the Seahawks. He was on point, and we got rid of him. But I just thought there was another way to go about this. While our O-line is still in its prime, we just paid Zeke all this money, so we have to win now.
You paid a lot of people a lot of money on that offense.
Exactly. And
Zeke,
we're not getting younger.
Cooper, Dak, they're all making big dollars. It's like, the rebuild, the retool, whatever it is, won 5-6 games last year. But the money being spent, you guys should be winning now with that money being spent. Sorry, Zeke.
Right.
But that's the product that he wants. Right. Touchdowns fill the seats, and Jerry World is very expensive. I really do respect Jerry as a businessman and what he's done with the Cowboys. But dang it, dude, let's get the defense together. Get a safety, get a crazy corner, get something that.
Look what we were doing when we had DeMarcus Ware, when we had these other players. We were in the NFC, we were the second round of the playoffs. It's one of those you have to do it on both sides. You have to be the total package to compete. Look at Tampa Bay last year. They did it on both sides of the ball. It wasn't just Tom Brady. It was this defensive line that raised hell. So things like that, when you get to the playoffs, when your guys are breaking down and you can't get pressure on a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady, you're not sitting pretty.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember how to phrase this question because you just brought up Jerry Jones, Zeke, and it wasn't even part of what I was going to ask you guys. But now I'm vaguely remembering a tweet that was put out by a Dallas reporter or a Dallas blogger of some kind, and it was something along the lines of how Jerry Jones is just chasing that success from the early 90s, and once he gets that one more title, then he's pretty much going to just call it a career as a GM/owner. He'll still own the team, partially, or maybe pawn it, whatever. Is that a true thought process going on, that he's just chasing too much and not taking his time to rebuild properly or fix the team properly?
The thing is that he doesn't he has kind of bought into the triplets very hard, and he's trying to recreate that. But he also needs to remember he had Charles Haley. He also had some big guys on the defense that were really solid guys that could actually have the defense be enough to stop the offense. And now he's just kind of misremember I got the triplets, I'm going to try and recreate that. And everybody talks about the wide receiver, the quarterback, and the running back combo all the time. It's an entire offense. Come on, there's 11 guys on the team, and also 22 guys total on the field at any time. So you have to try and find those spots where you can find some difference makers. And he's really only trying to find that on the offense. Like, don't get me wrong, we're probably going to score 40 points, but other teams are probably going to score 43 to 45 points. Like, it's going to be a race to 45 at sometimes because this offense cannot be stopped, but the defense can't even stop a sneeze. So I'm hoping that with Micah Parsons, Keanu Neal showing up in the preseason, we'll be able to make that one more stop that is needed in the NFL.
At least enough to win that NFC East.
That's all. Like, this year, like, if anyone's talking Super Bowl for the Cowboys, I would love to know what they're smoking. Like,
I agree. I say the same thing about the Eagles. Look, I don't make predictions till the week before the season starts. But I keep saying the Eagles, they're not a great team, but the NFC East is weak. But even if whoever wins it, whether it's the Giants, the Cowboys, Washington, whoever it is, it's not like they're gonna. There's no Super Bowl, there's no championship game, coming out of the NFC East. So, Maddie, again on the Jerry Jones subject, before we transition a little bit to your thoughts on the Eagles, where are your thoughts on Jerry Jones and him chasing, as George, I'm going to put it back up here, Jimmy Johnson living rent-free in Jerry's mind? I love it.
Dang.
I know. George is brutal. I love George, though. He never holds back.
We're just in a different era of football that Jerry Jones there was no salary cap really in the 90s. You could just bring any talent in you want. Now he has to build through the draft. You got to swing and strike out. He didn't have that problem in the 90s. So it's almost counterbalances what we're doing because we do we lock up our guys. Great. We lock up Dak. We lock up Zeke. But then free agent, what do? We don't do anything. We don't make any moves. So to a fan of, the early 2000s, the 90s, you see the splash signings that made big dents in our defense or offense. We're not making those moves anymore. So to me, it's like a yin yang effect. Jerry's doing what he can, but if you're restricted on what you can throw around, which is his best asset, is throwing money at players, makes it it's a hard way to compete in the NFL.
Absolutely, it is. And real quick, we're going to reset for a second here. This is fair or trending for 4 quarters on DSM Media. Got a lot of new people chiming in. Thank you so much for all the comments. Make sure you're following DSM Media at DSM_media on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. All the links are in the bio, Instagram. We're even on TikTok somewhere. I don't know. I don't even know what TikTok really is. But we supposedly have a DSM Media TikTok account. Again, I'm Phil Stiefel at Beard and Knowledge. I got Maddie Daddy FF here. I got Spoon of Zeke down here. We're breaking down the NFC East. Last week we did Giants. We got the Cowboys fans this week. Next week we got the Washington football team going to be as the topic that we're talking about. So now I want to transition a little bit. So we talk about how weak this NFC East is. You guys are watching from a distance as Cowboys fans, but there's still a lot of talk about the Eagles out there. You guys are trying to patch it up. We're actually going through a rebuild or retool, depending on how you want to look at it. We've got a new young coach in Nick Sirianni. We're rolling with Jalen Hurts instead of Carson Wentz this year. We've got 2 wide receivers that are going to be starting on our team that are 22 years old or younger. I mean, this is a young team. So as Cowboys fans, Zeke, you can go first. What, from an outsider looking at the Eagles, what are your thoughts on what the Eagles are doing at this point, just generally?
I'm gonna try and be nice because I do enjoy it, Phil.
Be nice because if you're mean, I'm gonna shut you down if you're mean.
There's really nothing you can do to change my mind about Philadelphia. I think that they're gonna have some great pieces like Devonta Smith. I think he's a great piece. I think Jalen Hurts is a great piece. I think Miles Sanders is a great piece. But when you look at everything on paper and having a new coach, like they're not like thinking that you're going to win the Super Bowl in 2 years is almost incredible to me. Like I'm not even kind of thinking the Cowboys are looking for a Super Bowl, and looking at Philadelphia, looking on paper, it's going to look really cool in Madden. But when you actually get on the NFL game, it's completely different. I wish you guys success, but
as long as it's not better than your success, right?
Not as good as mine. And I honestly have Philadelphia being the last in the East. Like in my mind, like it's going to be a race between Dallas, Washington, and New York.
Okay, all right, Maddie, your thoughts as a whole of what's going on with the Eagles?
One word: intrigue.
Okay.
I have a lot of
I like that.
intrigue.
I'm gonna write that down. I like that word.
It is what I love what I see, but it's upside. It's like what do I have in Pandora's box? Because Sirianni, I love the aspect of what he could bring to that offense. Jalen Hurts, I love what he can do, but is he accurate enough? Devontae Smith looks like a gamer. Rager didn't play well at all last year. You hear
Did you see the catch he made the other day at the
I don't care about practices. People get so hyped over training camp video.
Dude, do I have to make a Philly statement? Practice? Do I got to make a practice comment here?
No.
Speaking of practice, Quez Watkins. Everybody's talking about Quez Watkins.
Absolutely.
Players
That's a
like
smoke screen on fantasy. That's what everybody else is talking about. They want you to get that Quez Watkins while they're getting the top guys. That's what's happening.
All right.
And I think Gainwell is criminally undervalued in fantasy and in real football. I'm from Memphis. I literally lived there my whole life till now. That is a guy that I think is the real deal over Henderson, Pollard, all the other guys. Yeah, any given Sunday,
this might be the winning comment of the night. Sirianni can beat McCarthy at rock, paper, scissors.
Well, yeah,
Sunday.
McCarthy's throwing scissors every time. Yeah,
intro press conference where he likes to challenge the players to rock, paper, scissors in interviews. So
instead of having a game manager at quarterback, Jerry decided to have a game manager at head coach. He just needs a guy to not make enough mistakes to win the game.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that offense, man. The offensive line was one of the best ranked 2 years ago. They get hurt, one of the most injured teams. So you guys have upside, you have potential, you have intrigue. And I just don't know, like you said, smoke screens, like Hurts. Why are you not saying this is our guy? Let's build this guy's confidence. You did the same thing with Wentz under a different coach. So just things like that, almost like you're crawling and then you like fall on your ass. So, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I love that word intrigued because I'm intrigued because the main question is what's the Eagles' ceiling and floor compared to what the Cowboys' ceiling and floor is. And I'm not trying to talk down on the Cowboys because I'm an Eagles fan, but I think the ceiling this year to next year is higher for the Eagles. But I also think the floor is lower for the Eagles compared to the Cowboys. If Dak is healthy, I can see the Cowboys winning 6-7 games. I can see them winning 8-9 games. I can see the Eagles winning a lot of games, but I can also see the Eagles winning only 3 games.
I think
there's
Homer.
I'm sorry.
I just
said the Eagles could win 3 games.
Homer.
No,
the floor,
I'm the most
the floor
realistic
is really
Eagles
low.
fan you'll ever talk to. Most
There's
realistic.
no way
I had them
win
winning 7 or 8 games. I forget what my exact prediction was last year, and I haven't made my prediction yet this year. But I just think there's too many unknowns with the Eagles. Go ahead, Zeke. Call me a homer.
Unknowns are not good in the NFL. Like every year, people get pumped up for the stuff that they don't know because they're dreaming of what they are thinking that they're going to see in the NFL. But the NFL is way different. I mean, come on. Give me did you ever think Travis Fulgham was going to pop off like he did?
No. I actually, just so you know, I have called for, and George is the same way, that Fulgham, well, he's more on the high tower end of it, that Fulgham doesn't deserve a spot. Like, he hasn't earned anything. If Aaron Rodgers can get you to be a good a wide receiver, because people forget Fulgham was with Green Bay, Detroit. He bounced from practice squads. If Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford can't make you a good wide receiver, I don't want to see 3 or 4 good games of stats from Fulgham.
So you pump up Jalen Hurts because he got, all those points for Fulgham in fantasy. Like Fulgham was going off in fantasy.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You got to respect that. And for me, production in the NFL matters more than anything. Being drafted number 1 in the first round doesn't matter until it only matters until you walk off the stage. Like once you walk off the stage and you step on the field, you got to prove yourself every single day. Travis Fulgham proved himself. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but he did very well on a bad team. I think he absolutely deserves a spot. I'm not saying he's supposed to be starting, but he deserves a spot. He proved that he can run routes. He can catch a ball. He can have multiple games of 100 yards. That's what I'm saying. And
on the Fulgham end of it, there's 2 things that happened there. One, Alshon Jeffrey, the Eagles, or just like the Cowboys, the Eagles were paying Alshon Jeffrey's, a boatload of money. He came back, the Eagles gave the spot to the guy that they were paying. But on the flip side, there are reports in some big-time podcasts that Fulgham's got a little bit of an attitude issue and some practice issues where he doesn't take it as seriously. So those kind of things are possibly. I'm not saying they are. They're not that's just what I'm hearing in other much bigger than my little small podcast, talks about that there are guys that are in the locker room are saying that he's got some attitude issues, Travis Fulgham.
So my question is why I haven't watched any kind of Philadelphia stuff because I just stay away from the team. So
that's
my
fine.
question is Jalen Hurts the guaranteed number one? Because
Absolutely.
I heard that Sirianni was talking that.
All right, so Sirianni,
ultimate competition. I'm like, what kind of BS is this?
So Sirianni, so the Eagles' first 53-man roster depth chart that they put out, or 90-man depth chart they put out, they put a lot of guys. Like they don't have, Brandon Graham as the starting, defensive end. They've got a lot of slashes because in Nick Sirianni's opening press conference, he said every player is going to compete every day. No guarantees. His words were somewhere around the lines of, we won 4 games last year. No one earned a starting job for 2021. So everybody's going to compete. So him saying we're not naming a quarterback, Joe Flacco's not beating Jalen Hurts out for the starting quarterback. Every person that watches, covers, talks, podcasts, everybody in Philadelphia knows Jalen Hurts is the number 1 quarterback. Unless, all the outside situation aside, there was the Deshaun Watson talk. There was a brief moment of Aaron Rodgers talk and Russell Wilson. Sorry, Maddie. I know I see that. I love the football in your hand. That tells me you're ready to go.
I'm listening to you, baby. I have intrigue. Like I said, I think I saw what Hurts did, the way he got benched and he rebounded with Oklahoma. So he's got swagger. I saw those 239 rushing yards on the ground in 3 games. So I know he can do it. He's a dual threat. And I'm excited. I would be excited if I was an Eagles fan. I'm excited that Ertz is still an Eagle. Just different little things.
It's a random thing that me and George battle on all the time because he thought Ertz wasn't going to be here. I brought up he might be. But you bring up Jalen Hurts and the Oklahoma thing. Jalen Hurts has a huge chip on his shoulder. Jalen Hurts.
Why are you feeding into that? That's my question. Why are you feeding into that with that
feeding
kid?
Into what?
Like I felt like when Carson Wentz was there, I felt like Jalen Hurts proved that he had the locker room, he had the confidence, everybody had it behind him. Sirianni comes in, this is when Carson Wentz is still here, and he's like, "Oh yeah, open competition." I'm like, dude, did you watch any film of the Philadelphia Eagles last year? Like, you just got hired to be their head coach, you got to watch some kind of film. Like, try and tell me that Carson Wentz actually had the locker room, unlike Jalen Hurts.
So the thing is, though, if you make that statement in your intro press conference. And then make a statement right after it, like the day later, saying, well, Jalen Hurts is our starter, not Carson Wentz, then you lose the value in trading Carson Wentz. And honestly, as an Eagles fan, there were some crazy people that thought we were going to get like 3 first-round draft picks for Carson Wentz and whatever. That was out of control.
Can I ask a question then? Absolutely. Because I'm not on the Eagles talk.
Right.
Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts were, let's say, before this trade goes down. Were you team Hurts? Were you ready to move on from Wentz? Or you just kind of roll with the punches? You were a Wentz guy?
It's a complicated answer because
no, it's not.
I was, before we drafted Jalen Hurts, my first tweet that ever blew up was the night we drafted Jalen Hurts. And I said, can you imagine being Jalen Hurts, getting drafted to a team that's got Carson Wentz and that nobody wants you here because, there's going to be an instant quarterback controversy and stuff like that. Last year, I was 100% in on Carson Wentz. I've always been a Carson Wentz guy. I used to use the hashtag Wentz is elite. I had him as a top 5 quarterback going in fantasy-wise last year. I was wrong.
Turned into Wentz light, didn't he?
But on the flip side of the equation, just like I loved Dak Prescott in college, I was a huge Jalen Hurts fan in college because I thought he got a raw deal in Alabama. I saw talent there at Alabama. I hate when players lose their jobs in college because of an injury. Tua obviously turned out to be in college this superstar quarterback and everything. But I was praying so much for an Alabama-Oklahoma championship game because I wanted so bad Jalen Hurts to stick it to Alabama and win that title game so much. So when we drafted Jalen Hurts, I loved the guy. I loved the kid. I loved his talent. So after this past season, there was no way you could go back to Carson Wentz. There was no way. Zero chance. It's kind of, we'll switch to basketball for a half a second. It's like there's no way Ben Simmons is coming back to the Sixers. I don't care what the rumors say. Ben Simmons will not be a Sixer next year. There was no way, zero chance that Carson Wentz was going to be an Eagle this year.
But why are you feeding into that kind of kid? Like Jalen Hurts is literally a kid in terms of age in the NFL. Okay?
I don't understand what you're asking me. What I'm feeding into because
not you, Sirianni.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm not sure. I don't understand.
Sorry,
that.
Phil. Didn't mean that. It was like a rhetorical question to Sirianni. Is like, dude, like that's your quarterback, and now you're talking about how it's an open competition. Like,
right.
They traded Wentz, cool, but I just kind of felt like, kind of like threw a dig at the kid. And it's just like, dude, you should be building his confidence. Like he's literally been at in the past level that he was in college. He was at Alabama, then lost his job and then went to Oklahoma and, did his thing. I think he's felt like he's earned his spot. And then when he did what he did last year, I think he earned his spot to at least start because
absolutely. I agree with you 100% on what you said, but I think Sirianni, I think Sirianni sees that Jalen Hurts feeds off that. And I think it's a great motivator. And I don't know if you guys saw NFL Network. I forget which guy made a comment the other day that, all of a sudden, we were all against the Eagles, Hurts and Sirianni. And now you're starting to see, because of the way Sirianni's handled it, all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts is gaining boatloads of respect in the locker room because he's showing the work ethic. He's showing this, that, and the third. So I think Jalen Hurts feeds off of that competition and that. I know it's super cliche to say a player's got a chip on their shoulder.
He does. He definitely does.
He absolutely does. And certain players, Carson Wentz should have had a chip on his shoulder last year. He crumbled under that. Jalen Hurts thrives on that. And I think that's where it is.
Okay.
That's just the way I see it. There's a lot of fans that take it way too extreme, one or the other, but that's where I see it.
That's absolutely respectable. I felt like Jalen Hurts had kind of earned the respect last year. I agree. I think the respect was earned last year.
A little bit of me thinks, and I don't know what you guys think of the whole Deshaun Watson as a player thing, but I don't talk about his off the field thing. I think that's, I don't know. It's too intense for me to,
We talk football.
Yeah, we talk football, not off the field things here. If Deshaun Watson didn't have those other issues, he would be an Eagle right now.
That's different, though. He's on a different level than Jalen Hurts.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. And I think that's why there was at first another aspect of why at first there was some hesitancy to name Jalen Hurts the number one, because I guaranteed Howie Roseman, he makes trades. He spends money on quarterbacks. He would have traded everything to get Deshaun Watson here if it wasn't for the other issues.
So someone in the front office needs to be fired then, because I'd be
Howie
so
Roseman
mad.
Needs to be fired, yeah.
I'd be so mad to hear if I was Sirianni, okay, if I was in the Eagles head coach, I'd be so mad to hear a rumor that there was a rumor that we trade for Deshaun Watson when I'm trying to build this young quarterback up. I'd be so mad because honestly, it's past that point. Like after the draft, you shouldn't trade anymore. I feel like after the draft, you shouldn't trade anymore because it's just a dead zone. Like there's nothing.
See, and that's funny because Doug Peterson was hired to be a yes man to Howie Roseman, because Howie Roseman's the guy that leads the front office. He makes the 53-man roster. He even says what guys dress on Sundays, even though he has no football experience before being in the front office of the Eagles. Okay. Nick Sirianni was hired to be a yes man. It took Doug Peterson winning a Super Bowl to lose that yes man personality. Nick Sirianni's already proving himself as a leader, as a developer and stuff like that. So sorry, Matty, cut you off there.
I can respect that.
I know you got another show to do, Matty. Zeke, you're the busiest man on Twitter and all. So
I have one question before we leave, though.
No, I still have two quick subjects. So
okay,
go for it. I
got Phil. You own a pizza shop, baby.
Absolutely.
I'm a food guy. I'm game day. I'm having a few beers. I'm watching the Red Zone, things like that. I'm engulfed in fantasy football, but I'm engulfed in food. Ooh,
I always throw my menu up whenever I have the opportunity.
All right, so give me
on my network.
What's your pizza, man? What is your go-to? Like mine, obviously I don't have Phil's Pizza Shop right down the road. I have a Domino's, so I go thin crust.
I would never order Domino's ever.
Thin crust, pepperoni, and bacon. What is your go-to pizza?
So you name the most overrated topping and the most underrated topping there. Pepperoni is the most overrated topping in pizza, guaranteed. No doubt about it. And this is not the first time we've had a food conversation on my show. 2 weeks ago, we had a Pop-Tart conversation that blew up.
Well, I want to know pizza, man. I want to know what to try. Like, what am I missing out?
Bacon is the most underrated pizza topping. Whether you put bacon with onions, peppers, sausage, even bacon and chicken on a pizza, bacon needs to be on every pizza, is my opinion.
Okay.
That's just me. And my man, Adam's not only a loyal listener of the show, he's a loyal member of my taco pizza. He loves it. It's an amazing pizza.
Shout out to Adam for the Chris Richard comment. That was huge for me.
And my barbecue chicken pizza. Another one of my customers checking in here, with, my barbecue chicken pizza knocks it out of the charts. Even though I'm not from the South, I make a great barbecue sauce.
I can dig it.
Yeah. George saying the Pop-Tart conversation was better than this. We know George doesn't mean that at all. All right. So one final question, and then I just want to ask you guys a Cowboys-Eagles question. So I don't make predictions before the season starts until I see all preseason games, final roster. If you guys had to make a decision now, how is the NFC East going to play out, ranking-wise? Maddie, you want to go first on that?
I think it's health and it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think we have the easiest schedule, one of the easiest in the NFL. I think we can get 10 wins. I'm that confident. Okay. But I'm also confident that Washington's got a hell of a team. I expect Gibson to run wild. I expect Fitzmagic to keep them in a lot of games or lose them games. Okay. So to me, it's right there, and I'm not on the Giants bandwagon at all. So I'm going Eagles are right there at 2-3 with Washington or the Cowboys. That's my 3 right there, but I'm going Cowboys, 10 wins.
All right, Zeke, where are you ranking if you had to make a bet right now on the order that the NFC East would play out? How are you playing it out?
Man.
I know. Everybody makes predictions as soon as the schedule's released. As soon as the draft, I don't ever make a prediction until my September.
Cowboys have the second easiest schedule in the NFL.
I think the Eagles have an easier schedule than the Cowboys.
And they're still going to be bad.
I saw someone have one of the mainstream guys had the Eagles win in 3 games, and I'm not trying to be homer. I know we'll win more than 3 games this year.
That's absolutely possible, man.
There's no way we can't even. It's
literally an expansion team right now. Think about the young age. Think about how many guys are on it. It's literally an expansion team. All your old guys are
roasting your ass.
This is a perfect setup for my next point. Give me who's 1 and 2.
I'm going to say Cowboys, and then Washington, New York, and then Philadelphia.
Wow. See, I just have even less confidence in the Giants than I do the Eagles because I think the Giants. I'm not a Danny Dimes guy. Saquon, just like Dak's ankle, can't buy into Saquon's knee till I see it. I don't buy into that. I see it being Washington hands down as 1 because even if Fitzpatrick is an average quarterback, that defense and the weapons on them. As George says, no chance of a repeat winner. I think this is the best chance in recent history of a repeat winner of the NFC East because of their defense alone. And then I think it's going to be a really, really close between the Cowboys and Eagles for second place. And I think Giants are last place. So you guys both love the Cowboys. I've obviously heard it in your voices and your comments. You hate the Eagles. So I need your favorite Cowboys crushing the Eagles or moment in Cowboys-Eagles history. Zeke or whoever wants to go first. Favorite moment of the Cowboys?
Dude, I think it was right around the 06, 07, 08 range when we were just dominant. And I remember beating the Eagles in the playoffs one year, I believe, and just after kind of McNabb.
You beat us in week 17, and then you beat us in the first round of the playoffs.
McNabb had his way with us for a while. And that was kind of how it went. But I still remember the TO year and things like that. God, that sounds – how long ago was that? That's like 15 years.
04, 05 was the TO years.
Crazy. That's crazy. But, just kind of after he left the Eagles and he felt like he was disrespected, came over to the Cowboys and whipped y'all's ass.
Seen him come over there.
Yeah, I mean, he was an alpha. So that was probably my fond memories, especially after seeing McNabb on Monday Night Football run across the field, throw touchdowns on us. Looked like – and then you got Vic. I mean, yeah, man. I've always had a respect for the Eagles, though. I've liked your team. I can't hate on them. I definitely hate the Giants. I've always hated Eli Manning. So, but yeah, I'd say that's it.
Such a punchable face.
Yeah, that mouth breather.
Cowboys and Eagles fans can agree on Zeke's comment. Eli has a punchable face. Actually, I'm writing down this moment in the show, the 59-minute mark. If I make a little audiogram of this show, that comment there, Eli has a punchable face, is going to be the star of the audiogram.
He's the greatest average QB ever.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that 110%. So, Zeke, do you have a favorite moment of Cowboys-Eagles history?
Not really. I just love every year how the NFC East is a dogfight. That's my favorite part of football. It's
best
just
division in football.
Like honestly, like we talk, like I say some bad things about the Eagles, but you know what? They could honestly win the East. Who knows at this point? It's such a battle, and like people that aren't fans of teams in this division, it's almost like they don't understand like how the division works. Like you can literally go like it seems like it could go was it 4-4 because you have 8 games in the division, so you can literally go 4-4 everybody in the division, no problem.
Absolutely agree with you. So I love it. I mean, yes, I'm an Eagles fan, but I've traveled the world. I've worked all over the world, and I've experienced football all over the world. And I've talked to fans of every single team in the last 20, 30 years. And I don't think there's a division in football or in sports even to an extent that has a full division rival like the NFC East.
Oh,
I got two Cowboy Eagles memories. You guys are younger than me, so you might not fully remember them. So my favorite Eagles moment against the Cowboys, all I have to say to an Eagles fan is 4th and 1 times 2. Do you guys know what that means? It was 1995, William Thomas stopping Emmitt Smith on 4th and 1. And then the ref's like, oh, no. He called a timeout. We can give them another chance, the Cowboys, at that 4th and 1. And then William Thomas stopped him again. It's like my greatest moment because the Eagles were terrible in 1995. But we stopped you guys twice on 4th and 1, back-to-back plays. If you don't know that play, go look it up. John Madden, Pat Summerall called that. It's an amazing moment in Eagles history over the Cowboys. And then my brother, I don't remember the exact year, 93, 94. Emmitt Smith was running wild. My brother's birthday is October 13th. And his birthday happened to fall on an Eagles-Cowboys game. And Emmitt Smith ran for 250 million yards that game. I don't remember the exact number. It was over 200 yards, but he just like, great, happy birthday to you, Charlie. You know what I mean? Emmitt Smith just destroyed us that game. So that's my favorite and least favorite Eagles Cowboys memory right there.
You didn't say Michael Irvin breaking his neck, so I'm happy with you.
Dude,
You're a good
let me
man.
tell you something, guys. Eagles fans get a reputation because of that. Like a couple moments, one of them being that moment. Dude, that was like 3 fans that did that. Don't hold that against a majority of Eagles fans. A majority of Eagles fans don't do that. Look, let me tell you something. Back here, this is my piece of turf from the vet.
Wow.
Dude, if I fell on this, I'd break my neck too. This thing is this thick, and this is what they were falling on. It was hard cement under this little thing.
Crazy.
So let me tell you something. Anybody falling on that the wrong way was getting hurt. So
Absolutely.
Real Eagles fans, do not boo Michael Irvin for that play. It's a select few drunk guys that just got out of control to bet. That's all it was. So I love that we can have like a good, solid Eagles-Cowboys discussion here. Nobody threw something at each other. This was good, guys.
We go another hour, it might happen, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the vodka's almost empty here, so, if I get another glass, then we will be throwing down.
Love it. Love it.
All right. Again, guys, everybody, thank you for tuning in. A lot of new viewers tonight. Thank you so much for following us. Make sure you follow the show, DSM Media, Beard of Knowledge. And I want to thank my 2 guests here. We got Matt Reiser at Matty Daddy FF. We got the legendary Spoon of Zeke, Mr. Zeke Spoon himself. I'm going to give you each a minute to plug everything you guys are doing. Spoon of Zeke, you go first. I mean, you just got to plug your follow trains because that's your main go-to right there.
Come on,
yeah, I mean, if you guys want more followers on Twitter, I can definitely help you out. Just follow, comment into my follow trains. I also have a sponsor, Envy Stream 702. It's great for people that are out of market for their teams that can watch any game live. Basically, I use it to watch Mets games all the time.
You're a Mets fan too? Oh man, hold on. Let me get my Phillies hat on here. I got every team's hat back here. You know what I mean? So we'll put the Phillies hat on.
But yeah, I mean, it's just my follow trains. I'm always trying to help people, always trying to shout them out. There's giveaways that I help promote. There's a bunch of things that I do, but I just try and have a respectable community of NFL fans, and we all follow back. So, you can get thousands of followers too. You just got to follow my system. So that's all it is.
We love you, dude. When I found you like 6 months ago, you had like 5,000 followers, and you're pushing the 15K mark now. So what you do
happened in like 5 days.
Yeah, dude, it's great. All right, Maddie, plug all your great stuff that you're doing, because I love what you're doing with fantasy football and all.
I appreciate you, brother. Fantasy Football Affair. That's fantasy football's best kept secret. We're running like 5 podcasts a week in season, anything and everything. You see the other poster behind me? That's NFTdraft.io. We're taking over the wax community, cryptos, things like that. The first ever NFL or fantasy football game. Think Dynasty meets DFS meets NFTs. And then, of course, the Wrestling Mat podcast, all your rewinds, wrestling mock drafts, things like that. I'm the Maddie Daddy, FF, all gas, no breaks, baby. Phil, Zeke, thank you for everything.
This is awesome. Again, everybody, DSM Media, to the moon. Do not forget our tailgate Sunday. This is blowing up. We have the most amazing open tailgate going on at the Eagles Open Practice Sunday. 4:30 is when the live broadcast is going to be. We're going to be setting up about 3:30, 4 o'clock. We got media members, maybe some football players. We're raffling off a Devontae Smith jersey to everybody that shows up and shows that they've subscribed to our YouTube channel, whether it's on the spot or have already subscribed. So make sure you come out. We'll even put you live on the air. We've got it set up where everybody that pops by our tailgate can come on the air, give Eagles predictions, talk anything they want. We're going to have a blast. I know a lot of the followers that watch the show tonight will be there. So make sure you come check out the Eagles tailgate. DSM Media, at DSM_media on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, IG, whatever TikTok is. Hey, everybody. I always say go Birds. What does a Cowboys fan say at the end of a show?
Yo, pow, pow, pow. Let's go, Cowboys.